And welcome to the Board of Adjustments meeting for November 4th, 2021. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. The first order of business is make sure we have a quorum. We do have 5 people for a quorum. The next agenda is to approve the minutes from October 7th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve the minutes? It's been motioned and it's been second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries 5-0. That was, yes. No. John was second. Moving on to our new business is a consideration and possible action for VARZ 21-00019. This is a side setback variance for development in the light industrial district. This is a request by Cool the Air LLC applicant and owner to allow a variance as permitted by the Unified Development Code Ordinance number 2000-T to allow reduced side setbacks for a proposed office warehouse in the light industrial district. The general location is north and west of 3426 Main Street, Pearland, Texas. Do we have a staff report?
Yes, Chair. So this, as you mentioned, is a request to reduce the 25-foot side setback within the light industrial M1 zoning district to a distance of 12 foot 6 inches or 12.5 foot from the sides. Again, this is at the northwest corner of Main and Magnolia at 3426 Main. The intended use is for office warehouse. We had one phone call asking for more information about the request. This is the zoning and aerial. You can see the unusual shape of the lot and that it has M1 zoning all around it on that side of, or that corner. And then there's GC across Main, and then M1 again across Magnolia. This is all, or at least on that side of Main Street, is all light industrial, and then across the street is business commercial for the future land use classification. So to take you through the history of this site, we've got this really neat graphic prepared for you. You can see that this was originally Lot B in the Magnolia Business Park, platted in 1986. Then in 2004, the corner was drawn out of Lot B, and it left this remainder tract. And then there was a detention created that again created the unusual shape of the property. In 2018, there was a conditional use permit for a coffee shop that was applied for and denied by City Council for this property. So you can see, again, the unusual shape and how it kind of wraps around the detention pond, making up the remainder of that existing Lot B. So we've got 3 different views here, one looking from the site, looking one looking across Main Street at the gas station, where you can see the Main Street side of this development, one looking towards the site from Magnolia Parkway, and then one looking across the street of Magnolia Parkway back at the Greco industrial site. So this is the site plan that has been provided for this variance. You can see that they are looking to develop about a 3,000 square foot warehouse and a 1,000 square foot office. This site plan does not include any of the parking, landscaping, corridor overlay district standards, any of those requirements that will need to be adhered to during the building permitting. So this is just about the 12.5-foot setback that the applicant is requesting a variance from, or a variance to, I should say. So this is the criteria for approval. We're showing that the hardship suffered by the petitioner is not caused wholly or substantially by the petitioner, as the shape of the lot was caused by the previous property owners, and that the request is not based on financial gain from the property to reduce an existing financial hardship. So again, going back to staff's analysis, this hardship was created by the previous property owner. The current property owner was aware of the site challenges. The subject property in its existing configuration has physical hardships which create the need for the variance. The applicant has not provided a developed site plan for our review, so there may be other variances that pop up as they develop their site plan further. Being that the applicant hasn't provided that full site plan, they will need to meet all the regulations within the M1 district and the corridor overlay district, as both Magnolia and Main Street are designated as corridor overlay district roadways. They'll need to meet the fire, safety, and engineering requirements for development, and then a variance will need to be approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission for this lot to be platted. With all of that stated, though, based on just the setback, staff is recommending approval for the variance to be reduced from the 25-foot to the 12.5-foot side setback within the M1 district as requested. And that completes staff's report.
Thank you, sir. Does the applicant have a presentation? If you do, if you're going to address us, would you please go to the podium and say your name and address for us, please, sir?
Okay, my name's Juan Cuevas, and I'm the manager of Cool the Air LLC.
Address, please, sir.
Address is 120 Canal. My personal address is 120. Excuse me.
I haven't said anything.
Oh, 120 Canal Drive, Friendswood, Texas, 77546. Basically, these, I believe we didn't get the full design. I have one here. I don't know if it's too late, I can show. But it was supposed to come with the package. Is it too late to show y'all the actual design, or I can ask him if he didn't receive it? Yeah, I can actually look at it. But basically, it shows the warehouse, shows the parking, it shows where, you know, the amount of spaces needed for the parking, also for the fire truck to get in and get out. I saw earlier that it might need more variances. From talking to the engineer and my civil engineer and architect, these are the only two variances that I will need on the north side and the south side, from 25 feet to 12 and a half, 12 and a half. So I'll be coming in through, the drive-in will be coming in through the 35 side, and the Magnolia side would just be open grass. I mean, it's basically the only property that I can be able to use is on 35 side. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any persons wishing to speak for or against proposal? Now we'd like to move into staff and applicant discussion. I guess my first question is it feasible to take a look and see, for our standpoint of view, because we're going to be voting on something that I'm just trying to figure out why we're voting to reduce we don't know if it needs to be, I guess it does need to be reduced according to the site plan.
So staff had worked with the applicant's representative, basically requesting for the additional information to be provided. At the time, they were hesitant to provide anything additional because they had not done further design and engineering, and they did not want to provide that additional information. So what was submitted was a partial site plan that showed a parking area and a dumpster location. That dumpster location would have triggered another variance because it was in the front of the building. They then, the applicant or the applicant's representative told us that because they were still under design and still thinking about the site, that they would remove those illustrations and provide us with just the outline of the building. So we suggested to pause their application and move forward at a later date when we had a more refined site plan, but they requested to move forward with the application today.
Mr. Lewis, if the board chooses to receive the information, you are welcome to do so. However, if you review it, you're doing it without the benefit of staff analysis, and the meaning of that site plan that's provided may not be fully fleshed out. The only thing in front of you today is going to be the reduction of the side setbacks. So you could review that site plan, but the meaning of that site plan will only have an impact on the side setbacks, since that's the variance that was requested. The only reason why I think city staff would be reticent is you don't want to give somebody the impression that you reviewed that site plan in full and said yes, because that's not what you're doing today.
Correct.
But if you need it to make the decision just on the side setbacks, you are welcome to receive that information.
I would like to know if we can just postpone the vote till we get a full packet submitted.
I think staff's position is the information you have in front of you is sufficient for just that decision. But if you feel you need the full site plan to move forward, absolutely, you can make a motion for a postponement. And as long as that is seconded and three of you agree on it, we'll come back again in a month. I believe we have a December meeting still, so we'd be coming back in a month.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Board? Yes, sir. Would you please go to the podium so we can hear you? Thank you, sir.
We're recording this as we record all of our proceedings, so it has to come from the podium so that the microphone can get you.
Understand. The design plan, if I have one here with me, I can show you. It was supposed to come with the package, like I mentioned earlier, but if it didn't come, can I show you or forward it to y'all so I can look at it, or is it still gonna have to be postponed?
Thank you for that, but like I was said, that we're not professionals in reviewing site plans. That's why our staff is there to do that. We will review that to understand the essence of it, but not to make the determining factor of what needs to be here and there. So that's not our position. So, but I mean, what you're saying is taken noted of. What we have to do now is make a decision of what motion that we're going to decide to go for. Okay. Thank you for your putting that out there, though.
I have a question for staff, if I could. To be clear, Martin, you were saying that irrespective of what changes there might be to the details of the warehouse and the office space, that won't change the fact of anything related to the question of the 12.5-foot setback proposed tonight. Is that correct? As long as nothing is built into or extends into that 12.5-foot area.
Correct. So our analysis was only on the building. There are assumptions made that, they're going to have to access the site somehow. That access is going to have to be approved by the engineering design criteria manual and our engineering staff. There are landscaping requirements for both Main Street and Magnolia. Being that there are those requirements, there's also going to have to be an approved refuse area. That refuse area is going to have to be accessed from some point, and all of those things need to be designed and laid out in a way that meets all of our codes and criteria. Being that none of those are shown and the only request was on the side setback, that is all that is shown today.
I make a motion that we postpone voting on variance 21-00019 until we get more information on the site.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
It's been motion and second. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed, raise your hand. Motion carries 5-0. We will postpone this particular new business. And that is the end of the ZBA for November 2021. And the time is 6:17 p.m. adjournment.
During the month of July, we celebrate National Park and Recreation Month. It's a time when we recognize our staff for the amazing job they do, as well as a time to connect with our community through pop-up events